February 20th, 1901, the first meeting of the Hawaiian Territorial Legislature convenes. Or, as the native Hawaiians called it, these fucking guys again? Welcome to The Revisionists, the show where three comics try to punch up history. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And our guest tonight is our first return guest, blowing up all over town. He's absolutely hilarious. You heard him on Julius Caesar. Please welcome the wonderful Jose McCall.
Yes, back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Oh, we're very glad to have you back.
Mm-hmm. Your previous submission was successful.
You have achieved level 2 status.
Julius Caesar is officially a weird cannibal man now.
You now have 1 talent point to invest.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. It's good to know the truth is what sticks.
Exactly. Truth is what counts on this show. And not how many weird dick jokes you can make.
Now, are those jokes about weird dicks or jokes about regular dicks, but the joke is weird?
A little bit of both. I'm open to interpretation on that.
No.
I'm not a dick originalist when it comes to...
Not like Antonin Scalia.
Who is a dick originalist.
Yeah, he is. Was,
yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Well, if you're not familiar with the show, let me take a minute to explain how it works. Every episode, we take a topic from history. One comic presents the true story. Another comic comes up with an alternate history. We vote, and the winning story becomes our accepted history. Tonight, our topic is Lief, Erikson, and Vinland. The second of our Viking episodes.
Yeah.
If you listen to our last one with the great Jordan Dahl, you heard Zach and I go toe-to-toe. And the results of the voting are in, and Zach is the winner.
Yeah, with the
true
real history.
Hail, Zach.
Rare coup for real history.
Of the English official who mistakenly got on a Viking boat thinking it was basically
That
his
guy-
taxi.
That guy's the best man in history.
Oh, the best in history.
Yeah.
He's the Gandhi of dudes who got on the wrong boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Viking version of Naked Gun is what that is.
Face the Viking version of Naked Gun.
I like to think that he was a real dick at first, like, about ordering them to take him where he needed to go. As it slowly dawned on him that he was in the wrong place.
This is not the Lower West Side, and why are you all speaking Norse? I'm giving you 1 star on Uber.
You were hired to row, not to look at me.
No.
I keep trying to put this part.
Why are there so many axes on this boat?
So, Zach, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tonight, I will be presenting the true story. Jose will be presenting the alternate.
The truest of stories.
But if we're ready to begin. So, Lief Erikson. Again, the caveat I'll give with a lot of this era of history is that the sources conflict and are spotty, and a lot of this is taken from 2 specific Icelandic sagas. The sagas of the Greenlanders and the saga of Eric the Red. So those being oral traditions might have a certain tendency towards embellishment.
We don't like that on this show.
No, that's not at all in our wheelhouse.
No.
Or the thing we do. But Lief Erikson was born in Iceland around 970. The range is anywhere between 960 and 980, so I just averaged it out. He was the son of Eric the Red. Eric's father, Thorvald, was exiled from Norway for
Thorvald?
Thorvald.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
What did you think I said?
Thorvald? It sounded like a mouse in an animated movie.
I mean, it still does. It can still sound like that and be the name. His grandfather was actually Fievel. So
Yeah,
it's Thorvald Fieveld's son.
Thank you for...
And he went west to Iceland.
Yes.
That's what the movie is based on. They got rid of a lot of the brutality.
Reimagining a steampunk weasel rodent.
I don't know if it's steam. Is that steampunk?
Yeah,
It's Westish.
Really,
Okay, look, there's talking mice. We're not getting into the historical accuracy of the train ride west.
I feel like his version of Somewhere Out There, which was mainly about pillaging and murder, was a lot less charming.
Somewhere out there is plunder to be had.
Yeah.
But Eric's father, Thorvald, was banished from Norway for manslaughter. Then when Lief was a child, Eric was exiled for Iceland for 3 years for, quote, some killings. That's what the sources describe it as. It's super casual.
Some
Some killings.
Others are okay.
Yeah.
Some of them are
Like,
problem.
I looked into it, and apparently the story is that Eric asked a man named Thorgest to hold on to his wooden...
Thorgest.
Thorgest, yes.
Guest of Thor.
Yeah, exactly.
Thor's buddy who just came by and crashed on the couch for a couple days.
No, Thor Buddy is a different name.
Well, right.
He was a farmer. Eric asked Thorgest to hold on to his, quote, wooden beams of significant mystical value.
Awesome.
And then Eric tried to take them back. And in the process of doing so, he killed both of Thorgest's sons.
I hope he tried to give him fake, a different look-alike wooden bead. He's like, these wooden beads are of marginal mystical value.
At best.
Do you think I know my fucking wooden beams, Thorgest?
I've read my buyer's guide, man.
I still when you say some killings, I just imagine a survey that's like, how much killing do you prefer? No killing? Some killing? Many killings.
How many killings have you had? It's the sum college of murder.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Right. I didn't get 4 years of killing, but I got
my
2.5. I got 2.5.
I got some community killings.
I never declared a major, the
dabbled.
preferred form of killing.
10
Never got it
short
down.
of graduating.
Yeah.
Committed.
I know, yeah, jeez.
I mean, you got...
Never going to be Ted Bundy at this point.
I mean, that dude had a full ride to murder you.
Yeah. Star pupil.
When Eric went to take back his mystical wood,
also what he called, never mind. I think we can just assume.
etc. He killed both of Thorgest's sons and, according to the sources, quote, some other men. Again, very non-specific.
Just some folks who were there and got in the way.
On the subject of killings. At this point, according to Viking tradition, Lief was being raised with a man named Thurker. Not with his family. The tradition was that he was raised by someone other than his family.
Every single
not a dude named Thurker.
One of these names is I want to join a message board just to make it my screen name.
Yeah, Thurker Lurker overhead your deviant art page.
Yep.
Thurker was a man who Eric the Red had captured when he was raiding Germany. But the sources were very, very specifically pointed out that Thurker was not a slave.
Okay.
But they were also pointed out that Eric the Red had slaves anyway, so I don't know what the point is.
Good for Thurker.
Of pointing that out. Yeah.
More like an indentured servant.
I guess. Just like a dude who he can kind of pressure into taking care of his kid for 12 years.
Thurker the Spineless.
Yeah, exactly.
Go clean that up, I guess.
Yeah, Thurker's Norse
Just
for
doesn't
doormat.
know how to say no to something. Hey, could you raise my kids for me? I got a thing. Come on. All right.
You'll get me back one day, though, right? It's like, yeah. So Lief was 12 when Eric was exiled, at which time it was decided that he was old enough to join his father in exile.
Yeah.
Eric the Red took his family, and they sailed for Greenland, which was the first time someone had intentionally settled there. There have been a couple times that...
First time and only time.
Yeah. He was credited for establishing the first intentional settlement of a European on Greenland. Because there have obviously been Inuit people there before.
Right.
But it's European history, so they're the only ones that matter to them.
Right, of course.
Lief grows up in the eastern settlement on Greenland on his father's estate. Just adventuring and learning how to sail and the ways of trade, according to the texts.
The ways of trade. Adam Smith's less popular prequel.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll trade you some murders for
Where he learned to pay someone Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Yeah.
The classic rule of commerce.
Alternatively, Donald Trump's less popular sequel?
The ways of trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Trump in a Viking helmet.
Yeah.
Standing in front of a solid gold building. Or whatever the fuck he does.
Talking about how much money he made for
how
different
many
companies.
mystical beams does it take to acquire this?
He's
product?
got so many mystical beams.
If that were my mystical beam, you know I would have come back with 3 mystical beams.
Gonna build a wall made out of mystical beams.
Yeah. Mexicans can't get over these mystical beams. They're too mystical.
It's the best wood. It's the highest quality magic wood. Did I say magic? It's mystical. It's a higher quality.
It's kind of half Bernie, half Trump.
A little bit. A little bit. There's one anecdote. When Lief Erikson was about 16, he impressed his friends by tricking a polar bear into letting him capture it, basically.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
Basically, he just approached it from behind.
I was expecting more when you said tricking a polar bear. Like, I expect he had some cups and there was a ball under one.
What I'm told is he went upstream and came up behind it and was like, subdued the polar bear, and all his friends were like, cool, you captured a polar bear. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, into the cave.
He coked up the polar bear. It was just like the polar bear just couldn't handle any other thing after that.
I'll admit, that's pretty impressive. When I was 16, like, what?
Yeah.
I would drink the thing my friends made in the cup in the middle of the restaurant. Like, that's my extent of impressing my friends.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure he did that too, but it was mostly grog that he consumed out of it, baby skull or something.
Just the baby skull they had.
Yeah. Just the communal. It's the red plastic cup of the Dark Ages.
Dad's on my ass because they didn't clean the baby skulls.
Well, man, just rinse out the baby skull. Then you can just reuse it. It's not that fucking hard. That's Lief Erikson when he had roommates.
Yeah. Passive-aggressive notes on the baby skulls. I went through all the trouble of killing this baby. The least you could do is respect the skull, and I'll leave it in the dishwasher overnight.
Also, do you guys have my magic wood? I need that. It's mystical. It's of significant mystical value to me. Lief is slowly establishing himself. He's the son of the chieftain, basically, so he has a position of power. And at one point, he's tasked to sail to Norway to bring gifts to King Olaf. And he is blown off course and he lands in the Hebrides where he gets someone pregnant. And when he finds this out, he's like, well, off to Norway. Then he goes.
I like to imagine, like, when he's blown off course, he was blown into that person. It was just a series of him flailing around, like, accidentally causing all this mischief.
I thought you were going to say ruckus for some reason, which I thought was a brilliant way to describe being blown into someone's vagina, which is not a phrase I want to use.
Yeah, really a mixed message.
That is, according to the record, Leif's only child. It had some sort of, like, Thingmeyer, Thorvald name that I didn't write down. So anyway, Lief lands in Norway, and he goes to the court of King Olaf, and King Olaf greets him like, oh, I knew your father, which is the subtext being, yeah, I exiled him for murder, basically. But he's welcomed in. King Olaf eventually ends up converting Lief Erikson to Christianity, because this is at the point in the history of the Vikings where they're losing the pagan gods to worship, of course, Jesus Quick J. Christ.
Yeah, right, of course. The
trickster god of Christianity.
They were Thor guests, but Jesus residents.
What? What does that mean? I don't understand what that means.
I don't
know. King Olaf tasks Lief to spread Christianity in Greenland. But when he goes back, he's pretty bored, honestly, being in Greenland, because there's not that much to do. It's mostly a glacier.
Yeah.
At some point, a man named Bjarni Helgorfsson.
Bjarni?
That's how I'm pronouncing it. I think that's what
I am going to imagine him like Barney from The Simpsons, just for a reference.
Well, he did go missing for a year, and then he showed up talking about this mysterious land he found to the west that was this verdant island, and a lot of people just thought he was a drunk. So it is kind of fitting. So Lief buys the boat Bjarni used when he got lost.
The medieval equivalent of, give me your keys. That was
basically, yeah. It's like, well, it's also the equivalent of like, well, this boat helped you find this place. Maybe it's magic, I guess.
Yeah, they just assume mystical beams.
Mystical beams and shit. Magnets, how do they work? Remember that reference, everyone? From 2008?
I just wish I had knew more about these mystical beams. Were they carved from an ent?
I'm sure at some point. That's how they got their mystical power.
I don't know.
They're so mystical. Why? It's like, look, I've got so much magical stuff.
Yeah, keep that shit.
I can't keep these mystical beams I'll be back later.
I'm just trying to organize. My wife wants me to get rid of all my mystical shit right now.
Mm-hmm. She says I'm hoarding mystical beams and baby skulls.
Yeah, which I think a lot of hoarders do end up having baby skulls in there.
Sooner or later.
Eventually. So he buys Bjorn's boat and sails west. Eventually he comes across a succession of islands that now are thought to correspond to Baffin Island in Labrador Bay. He named Helluland, which is the land of the flat stones, because it's basically just a flat rock with nothing on it. And when they saw that, they were all disappointed, because it was like, that drunk guy promised us verdant land. And it's like,
Yeah.
What'd you see on that island? It was a hell of land, dude. Everywhere.
it was a hell of land. Yeah, it was original. It's Norse for
That
hella
is-
tits, basically. That's
true.
That's what Helluland means.
Because that is an extremely dull name for a land after the translation.
Yeah.
Got some flat rocks over here.
I mean, Iceland, Greenland, they kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least put trickery in that. They didn't even bother with flatland land.
Yeah.
Land.
Yeah.
At least they switched around Iceland and Greenland, because
Yeah. See, they did something.
Iceland at least had some stuff going for it.
Yeah. They did actually. It was a trick because Flat Rock Island had shapely rocks.
Yeah.
They come across a second island, which they named Markland, for
Mark.
Yeah. There's just a dude named
Dude,
Mark
Mark.
there. Who, Mark was actually the first European to discover America, because there's no way that's an Algonquin name.
Right.
But they find an island in front of the mainland. There's a lot of crops growing on it. There's a shitload of salmon, and that's where they...
On the island?
Yeah, land salmon.
Land salmon.
Which they hunted to extinction.
Of course.
Yeah. So delicious. You can't blame them.
It's like salmon, but without that. It hasn't been
Watery
swimming in
taste,
like pissy water. Like,
Yeah.
So they land there, and in the party is, of course, Turker.
Of course.
Turker, the man.
of course, Turker is there. Turker always around.
Can't have
that
a party
guy.
without them.
I mean,
say
he
party,
basically ended up
Turker.
being Leif Erikson's foster dad, so he
Do
kind
I
of...
even need to send him a Facebook Evite? No. I know Turker's going to show up.
You invite him to colonize an entire continent. Are you interested in going? At one point, Turker goes missing from the settlement,
Party
Oh.
animal.
and eventually they find him, apparently drunk, and he's just like mumbling to himself in German about how he found a bunch of grapes.
Oh.
And that's why
I was
he's
going to
drunk.
say, where did he get this wilderness beer?
That's why he's drunk, I guess. He found grapes, which seems like there's still a few steps in between that, but...
Yeah. A few fermented grapes in a barrel
Yeah.
somewhere.
So,
I just like to think he like found a leprechaun's whiskey in the forest.
but based on this discovery, they called their newfound land Vinland, or Grapeland. And it corresponds to the first settlement is Newfoundland, and the settlement didn't last long. It was there 4 years. Leif Erikson was there for not even a full year, because he just went back to Greenland after that. When he goes back to Greenland, he brings back a bunch of grapes and like crops and everything. He rescues a ship, and he arrives back there, and everyone's like, "Whoa, what did you find?" He's like, "Yeah, Vinland or whatever." And because his brothers Thorvald and Thorstein,
Why Leaf get left out of? Why isn't he Thorleaf?
No.
Thorleaf Clover.
I was
That's what
about
they
to
could
say.
call him.
Yep. You jumped on that before I could. Thorvald and Thorstein are like, "Whoa, we should all go back." And Leif's like, "Nah, I've done that."
Yeah.
But they go back on their own. Thorstein goes first, but he gets lost, and he basically spends one whole summer wandering the ocean, and then goes back to Greenland. And, Thorvald lands in Vinland and immediately kills about 8 Algonquin. And he is basically killed right after that in a battle. That brings me great satisfaction.
Just
to-
some
he just
killings,
go-
They happen.
yeah.
The way you phrased it sounds like he got off the boat and saw them, was immediately like he'd gone Jack Nicholson shining mad while he was on his
That's
boat.
basically my interpretation of the sources. So, Thorvald proved me wrong,
Yeah.
but you're fucking dead. So,
Bad guest. That's what it was.
yeah,
Terrible.
a terrible, yeah, because colonization is really having a guest in your house.
Yeah.
A Thor guest.
So, loved it. And of course, Jesus resident, or whatever the fuck we said earlier. There are a lot of theories as to why the settlement didn't last that long. The most prevailing one is conflict with the native population, which is mostly Algonquin. There was evidence of Vinland in the sagas, and it was mentioned in a couple works, but it wasn't really that well known in the mainstream culture. Mm-hmm. That's why when you're kids, you're taught that Columbus discovered America, which is wrong in 2 counts.
Yeah.
Because he's not even the first European to discover America. Also, you can't discover something that people are already living in and will shoot you with arrows if you land on it, basically.
Also,
and
everybody knew the world was round when Columbus was around, people. Stop saying that shit. Don't give Columbus the satisfaction. We'll get to Columbus eventually.
Yeah, we will. Because I feel like even the actual history is just going to be taking a shit on him, which I'm
sure.
I'm looking forward to so much.
The alt history, he's probably not going to have a good time.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, Columbus doesn't come out well in the 21st century when people have better moral compass.
Sorry, Italian people who say Columbus Day is about heritage or something.
Yeah, that's great. I don't care. There are people who say the Confederate flag is about heritage. It doesn't matter. Your heritage can still be shitty.
Switch it to Pesci Day. I'd celebrate that.
Yeah, I'd
Pacino Day?
Hell yeah.
I'd do Pizza Day in a heartbeat.
I even do Don Corleone Day. Everybody talk like Don Corleone all day long.
These are starting to get more and more offensive to Italians.
He's a classic film character.
Yeah, Ravioli Day.
Everybody put an orange in your mouth. Have a heart attack.
To celebrate Italy. Lorenzo de' Medici invented this. Dante Alighieri. That's the worst Don Corleone impression you will hear on the internet.
Yeah, that doesn't sound anything like him. You still don't do the hand like pet a cat or something like Blofeld. He does that.
That just sounded like I was vomiting. Why can't I do this? This is not that hard. I just have to sound like I've smoked.
Look what they did to my boy.
That's pretty good. But you're still doing the hand gesture.
I am doing the hand gesture. It's hard not to.
Calzones. There we go.
Super Mario.
We're doing great for the Italian people.
Oh, man. Can't wait till we get through some Italian history, and this is the whole show.
Lief Erikson, after leaving Vinland, he returns to Greenland and then eventually returns to Iceland where he dies, but no one knows the date that it happens. He sort of just fades away.
Uh-huh.
Like Babe Ruth in the Sandlot.
Right.
And that's my account of the true story of Lief Erikson in Vinland.
Wow.
All right.
Jose?
It's interesting that you use the word true, because that's what this is about.
Bold. It's a bold choice.
True. We are going to now hear the truth. And I listened to the last one. It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to insert some metal into there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I should have gone with Mystical Wood.
Yeah.
Mystical Wood is a winner every time.
Yeah,
which sounds like a metal band, actually.
Third
or like a Cannibal Corpse album.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it seems a little light.
Yeah, there's...
Well, it's like their soft jazz album.
Experimental. Well, I'm glad you guys called me, because I am a certified metallurgian, accredited from Metal University.
Metal University.
Metal University. I am peer reviewed. As you can see, I have my battle jacket with my accreditations on it.
Oh, those are accreditations.
These are exactly, and these are all.
You should really get leather patches for the elbows of that jacket if that's your degree jacket.
I honestly feel like Metal University is like a movie that's going to come out next year starring Jack Black or something.
Yeah, it's a sequel to School of Rock.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
Metal Triculate is the tagline. That is the worst tagline.
Terrible, yeah.
I like it. All right.
Open Roction. Nope.
What?
Worse than
that?
I'm trying to come up with a tagline here. Open option is a thing you can be at Universal.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, it sounded like you were trying to have a pun, but then you had a stroke instead.
I'm very tired.
All right. Lief Erikson, they don't know where he was born exactly. They have theorized about where he was born, but you will find the truth. It's important to keep that fact in mind. Mm-hmm. So, of course, he was the son of Eric the Red, known communist.
Sure.
Yep.
And his mom...
He started his career in Eric the Red's living room.
Yeah. And his mom, Thjadhid, known communist.
Well, yeah, they're Scandinavian.
Yeah,
so, that's how they met at a
rally.
At a people's People's meeting.
Yeah. So they did meet, and they were his parents. He was, they say, exiled, but I mean, it was more of a sightseeing tour. You do some murder here, you do some murder there.
Yeah.
He went around and visited.
If you just murdered everybody in the same place.
It's like a murder abroad program.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so there was a lot of traveling, and somehow they end up with,
he wrote that book, Eat, Kill, Love, about his time.
It's a book on etiquette.
I would imagine Eat, Pray, Kill.
Yeah.
That's the sequel. Mm-hmm. After he converts.
Eventually, it just got down to kill, kill, kill.
So, Lief, he's traveling around and stuff. Eventually, he does make that stop at the Hebrides. And I know you said Hebrides, but it's Hebrides. They're like, you know how like skinny jeans and emo core were in for a while? This was the precursor to that in the back in the day. They would dress up like brides, and they were he's. They listened to like
and they were he's.
Yeah, they were like not quite into the heavy stuff. So he hung out with them, and he got a taste for the heavy.
Okay,
the heavy
Hebrides. Okay,
Hebrides.
I thought it sounded kind of like you were saying like a derogatory thing about Jewish people, and then rides.
Oh, okay. I see that.
No, definitely not that. I feel like that's later in history. Anyway,
no, the Jews definitely existed at this point.
And
they've been oppressed already many times at this point.
And they had great rides.
Yeah,
yeah, the Cyclone, Coney Island, classic.
Right? Yeah,
Tilt-A-Whirl, which had to change its name to Ellis Island from Tilt-A-Whirlawitz.
Yeah, that Batman roller coaster.
Yep.
Nice. So yes, he spent some time with them. Then his parents, his mom was kind of like on his case. She was like, "You need to like do something positive with your time, Lief. You're gonna go see that king. He's gonna put you in like a work study program." So she like sent him on like a summer vacation to go meet this king, Olaf Tryggvason. And she, he's a Christian, so she enrolled him in the Christian school, the Catholic school. He really just. Against his will. History says he converted to Christianity, but it was all his mom. It was all damn thought kids did.
Smoking behind the school every day.
Yeah. Communist mom.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Converting him to Christianity.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's totally.
That is a little weird.
But she wants him to have a good education.
Exactly.
Right. He wants him to get ahead in the world, which is also strange for a communist.
And maybe she was a communist
so
when she was
focused on
young,
his career.
And now she's middle-aged and she's got a portfolio.
Right.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how this happened to her.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Typical. Get a little money. And
typical.
Like, all right.
Rubio 2016.
Typical communist stuff, though. You say something, you act another way. It's how things happen.
Yeah, those shifty communists.
Yeah, it's totally what it is.
That sounds like a Screwball 40s comedy. those shifty communists.
He's in Christian school, Catholic school, and they send him to Greenland, not to convert, to debate. Debate team. They send him back. He's got to make some strong points. And, he's there. He doesn't care for it a lot. He's like, dude, school sucks, man. I'm going to get a ride out of here.
Spelled with an X.
Yeah, exactly. On his knuckles. SKULSUX.
Yeah.
Not that smart.
Missing
missing
a finger.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention he only has 3 fingers on one of his hands.
It was actually SKOL. It was about Skull Vodka.
Yeah, there we go.
It does say that.
It really sucks. That's the true history of Skull Vodka.
It
Don't
sucks.
drink it.
Yeah. You might think, unless you're like a 17-year-old and it's all, you can handle it then, but Jesus.
Nice.
By the time you get to college, you got to step it up.
Grey Goose. Something in between that.
Yeah, I think that's quite a jump.
Smirnoff. I don't know vodka hierarchy.
Well, Grey Goose is up there.
Grey Gardens is up there.
Yeah, Grey Gardens. The Edith and what's her name produced
The pinnacle.
vodka that they make, I assume, in their bathtub.
The Crystal Skull vodka.
That Dan Aykroyd makes.
Exactly.
Nice. So he goes to Greenland and he's like, dude, I'm getting a ride out of here. Debate team sucks. So he takes the ride and he goes where, Bjarni, I can't remember the dude's name. Anyway,
Bjarni.
He had the hook.
Bjarni 2016.
They would meet in the parking lot.
Feel the Bjarn.
Field of Bjarn. Yeah, Bjarn, they say merchant, but we know what he was really selling. They'd meet in the parking lot, blaze a sack, you know what I mean? And he was like, dude, I heard about this cool place.
I don't know what you mean. What did you say?
He was a drug dealer, is what I'm saying. Bjarn was a merchant, quote unquote. He was into, deals. Anyway, he's like, I heard about this cool... It's like, I heard about this.
Got all these speakers, man.
I got some drug stuff. You want some drug stuff?
Exactly. So he's like, I heard about this cool place down the way, man. You should go check this out. And they're like, hell yeah, I'm getting a ride out of here. So they take the ride and they're going to go where Bjarn heard there was a cool party at. And so that's where Lief heads. He's like, I'm going to check out this awesome party. They make a stop, all right, at these islands. They kind of get lost and they found Vinland, which is a liquor store. That's all it was. The dude was drunk. There's wine. There's grapes. It's just they made a stop at the liquor store. This is overblown by history.
Skull vodka.
Yeah, exactly. See, it overblown.
I thought you said Skull sucks. I don't care. I'm going to drink it. I'm Batman, I guess.
It's the drunk the city deserves. All right. So they stop at Vinland. This is what the Illuminati are trying to keep out of people's minds.
Forgot the Illuminati.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
Yeah, they're shifting the focus from what really happened, okay? They make a stop at Vinland. He discovered various islands. They left out the most important of the islands, okay? The promised land of metal. That's where the real party was at.
Oh, man.
Thrashlantis. Now, do you guys have Brian, do you have like an angelic choir that you can, is there
just
something?
like a sound that you were putting in?
Yeah, well, because this is very epic, so I'm going to need some
I'll try to find it. The best I might be able to do is whale noises.
Yeah, that, you know what? I'll take them, all right?
They're like the angels of the sea.
Exactly. Okay,
In that they're not real.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Cool. All right. Thrashlantis, promised land of metal. All right. The ultimate, the epitome. The skulls lined the streets. They were paved in the skulls of posers. They glistened white in the sun. The fountains there spewed blood of slain virgins, which was mostly the denizens of Thrashlantis.
I was going to say.
Whatever. The Thrashlantis.
They're self-hating.
Yeah. They were known for selling the finest denims, the best battle jackets.
Nice.
The greatest studs, the pointiest studs. It was an incredible land. Lief had his mind blown when he got there. He was like, what's going on here? And everybody welcomed him into this amazing land. See, what people don't know is heavy metal, prior to the discovery of Thrashlantis, had a lot of very typical heavy metal vocals. Like the Iron Maiden style. Mm-hmm. In Thrashlantis, they spoke in growls. That's where death metal comes from. They were like, "Mother, do you have milk?" Like, it was very brutal. Nice. Yeah. And so that's where we get the growling of death metal. See, this is the type of stuff I learned. I've done the field work. I have smashed the posers. I've been to the heaviest pits. I've thrown the sacred horns.
I've seen your diploma jacket.
Exactly. Yep. So I'm just trying to tell you, this is the truest of histories. Lief is there, and he's immediately welcomed. They're like, the chosen one has returned. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then they throw him this crazy party. There's concerts there and everything, and it's so badass. And then they find out, you've returned to the birthplace. They let him know he's come back to his motherland, Thrashlantis. So they're getting ready to have the ultimate concert. And the ultimate concert, it's a thing of fable. It's an incredible event. All right. There's the Golden Triumvirate who run Thrashlantis.
The promoters.
The band. The sacred band. He was the fourth.
The musicians are in charge. Of course.
The fourth missing member. They had a bassist who played a bass guitar so incredible with so many strings. The thickest string, they said, was as thick as a man's bicep. It required 2 people to play normally.
That seems inefficient.
I mean, it does not. I don't know how that would.
But the sound. Work. It's not about the efficiency. It's about the sound, guys. It's about the brutality.
Of course, that makes sense. I forgot the first rule of metal.
Exactly. Take it
and
to
the second,
extreme.
and the ABCs of metal is always brutal.
Yeah. and then a C.
And then a C.
Always brutal. See? All right. Anyway.
That's Edward G. Robinson if he was very metal. Always brutal. See?
Yes.
Amazing brutality. See?
Stay true. See? All right. So yes, the sacred band. They called Lief forward. There was a bassist. There was a guitar that not only had strings of razor wire that could only be played by the nimblest and strongest fingers. It was powered by the blood of slain posers. It was an incredible incredible acts. It was just beautiful. There was a drummer whose drum set was a mile wide. The cymbals were made of gold. He was the best drummer in all the land. And they called Lief, and they said, "You are the vocalist we've been missing." And they formed the Sacred Band, and they were preparing for a concert that was just going to bring things back. See, what you don't know is Thrashlantis was a land in turmoil. It seemed happy and party-ish, but like there was an inquisition to always find.
He was really mad at his fatherland. Sorry.
Yeah. His job.
I apologize for that one immediately.
It was a land in turmoil. There was an inquisition, always finding posers. To this day, we're always looking for the posers. And it went out of control. There was a population decline, and they couldn't bring back that population because no one would date all these metalheads. It's like a first date at a metal show it's really hard. You know, you got the girl like, "Hey, so what are you going to school for?" And it's like, "I will rape the bodies." That's corpses. You guys know that one?
I assume that's like six different songs.
Yeah. No, that's the problem. So like there was a population decline. There was only, big sausage fest, and they were in decline. This concert was supposed to turn things around.
Which is which preceded BigSausagePizza.com.
Yeah. I mean, Schnitzelfest was cool, but the Sausage Fest was not. That was going on at Thrashlantis. All right, that's pretty bad. All right, anyway, so this was supposed to bring it back. So they plugged in these instruments and they prepared for the ultimate show. They were like, "We're going to do this tonight. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be amazing." And as they were tuning, a war broke out in Thrashlantis.
That's bad timing.
Yeah, it was just things culminated, and it's a cautionary tale is what I bring again. Okay, caution. It's what I'm all about. Preventing tragedies.
Be cautioning.
Yeah, the sound system, they were going to unveil a new weapon. Normally people have the subwoofer. This was the super woofer. It was said that
that's a lot of treble or bass. I don't know.
It was said that this was a speaker so powerful it could wake the dead heroes from Valhalla to join man once again. At Metal University, we are still doing the research to try and find this fabled speaker, but we're working on it.
Archaeologists,
it's your PhD.
Metal archaeologists on digs, headbanging causes them to break a lot of pots.
Yeah.
No, they just take a pot out of the ground and break it against their skull.
Just smash it right there.
They're eating artifacts.
Fuck pottery.
A lot of difficult. It's a growing field. It took us a while to learn that you can't use bass guitars to dig in the earth and stuff. It took us a while. It's a learning process. We're trying to learn.
Although drumsticks and drum brushes are actually very delicate tools.
Yeah, they're very efficient.
Archaeology is 99% research.
We shall learn and then burn. All right. So as this super woofer, as the sound test was made,
there's of course the German band Fieldwerk.
Anyway, as the first note was played and the war broke out, the tuning was messed with. All right, the various factions fought. The instruments were out of tuning, and when the first note was played, it was too powerful. There was a geological sonic wave that just caused Thrashlantis to start shaking too much, and it began to collapse on itself. The tectonic plates themselves began to collapse under the weight of these mighty instruments.
I think that's what happened with Great White.
Yeah. History repeats itself, man. That's what I'm saying. And as the island,
that's what you're saying.
I have messages behind what I do. I'm an educator. Anyway, as the island sank into the sea and all the great things were lost. Fortunately, Lief had called his mom to come pick him up in the longboat, so he came back to Greenland. He had to go back.
That's not very metal.
Yeah, not metal.
That's how most metal shows end.
I was going to say, that's more metal than you think, man. That's the sacred way, unfortunately. So yeah, he was able to escape because his mom picked him up in the longboat. He had to go back to Christian school tomorrow, so he didn't want to stay out too late, and thus Thrashlantis was lost. Vinland is just a liquor store.
Mm-hmm. Is it in Canada at least?
It's in that area, Baffin Island.
The Canada area. It's a very large area.
We got so many Vinlands there now. You can't.
It's a chain.
It's like 7-Eleven.
Is the original still open?
I think it's
flagship
ruins. I don't know. It's a sacred site now. Maybe I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've been in Canada. Yes, so that is the tale of Lief, the mighty bringer of the heaviest of metals, an important part of metal history.
Thank you, Jose. Zach, you are in the role as judge this evening, so you can always cast your vote on the air, then throw it to the audience.
Well, I wanted to clarify that Vinland was in Canada because if I elected to go with your alternate history and it gave Columbus back the title of being the first person from Europe to travel to the Americas, I would be opposed to that. But since it does not give Columbus anything, I am willing to say I'm going to cast my initial vote for the alternate and allow the viewers, listeners, whatever you are, to have their say as well.
All right. Listeners, you can cast your vote at revisionistpodcast.com using the contact form. While you're there, you can also ask us a question, leave us a comment, or suggest a topic for a future episode. Mm-hmm. And while we're taking care of business, let me just mention that reviewing this podcast on iTunes is very, very helpful to us.
Yeah.
And you can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter.
All things you can do as a free American.
But the biggest thing I wanted to plug tonight, we may get a little bit serious. Zach and I are fans of the podcast The Flophouse.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite podcast. And we're part of the Facebook group. And Shannon Camp, who co-hosts Stage of Fools with Zach, is spearheading an effort right now to raise money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Correct, yes. A goal of 10,000. Every donation is matched. So if
dollar
you donate,
for dollar.
Yeah, you will effectively be donating twice as much. And if you are a fan of the Flophouse podcast,
Which is a podcast about bad movies.
A podcast about bad movies. Every person who donates will be entered into a raffle, and the winner will get to pick a movie that the hosts of that show have to watch for an episode. So that is also a little prize you can win. Yeah. We'll have a link in the show notes and probably on our Facebook page, I imagine.
Yeah. I'll link all that and we'll be pushing it this week. It's a really great cause. There's a lot of people.
Sorry. If you're listening to this a little late, that is going to be open until March the 18th.
It's a really great cause. A lot of people listening to this are from the Denver comedy scene. And regardless, wherever you're listening, you probably know someone who has struggled with this issue or has been touched by this issue. So please, even if it's just a little, please give and raise your voice for this issue. In terms of other things to plug, Jose, February 24th, you're going to be at Jagged Mountain Brewery.
Yes.
And then the 27th, you're going to be doing the Funky Brunch at Grandma's house, which is a great show hosted by the fabulous Mara Wiles. Zach, as I mentioned before, you co-host Stage of Fools podcast with Shannon Camp.
Correct.
Which I guested on a few weeks ago. It's been a great podcast.
Yes, every Sunday.
And as for me, last couple of weeks you heard me mention the stand-up showdown at the Denver Improv. I advanced to the second round of that, which will be sometime in April. I'll have more details on that as I know them. But I think that does it for tonight's episode. Jose, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for being our Thor guest.
Yes.
Ooh. Put it on the board. The pun temperature is rising. Against our will. You almost said that with a look in your face like, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to.
That's how I feel about almost everything I say in my life.
Also, Zach, by the way, happy belated birthday on air.
Thanks.
And before I forget, I mentioned the Flophouse group earlier. A member of that group, Josh Hollis, did our artwork for this podcast. Yeah. I wanted to remember to thank him more often because it's fabulous and he did it for free and he's wonderful. So thank you, Josh Hollis.
Yep.
For everyone here at The Revisionist and everyone involved, I'm Brian Flynn.
I am Zach Powers.
Me too. I mean, I'm Jose.
Oh my God.
There's
Ryan, you have to shoot one of us.
Oh no. I don't own a gun. I don't believe in them. Oh God. Good night, everyone.